Yeah, actually, one of my questions for my portfolio is,
Yeah.
do you think it is professional commercial studios, are they still relevant with the rise of home production?
Mm. I think everybody will, people, there'll always be a call for it because, I mean, there's still this sort of thing surrounding proper recording studios, isn't it? I was talking to earlier to Rose about it actually. So we sometimes when we used to go to Alan's studio, Battery Studios, in Willesden, and we'd go in there to just sort of mix a track and everything. And it's difficult to know. For my ears, it was difficult to know the difference really. And I always thought that I get a better sound at home or something.
Mm.
So I think it's different for different people. I mean, if you're not an engineer and you're going in there as an artist, and what you're doing is just playing or you're just performing, and you never record yourself, then I think they're important, obviously. But
Yeah, I think that's a good
from
point.
my perspective, it's not really because I can get everything that I need. Because for me, it's more about the sort of atmosphere where you're creating, and sometimes studios can be really intimidating. I think that for just everything about them, I find intimidating,
Mm.
and I always have. But it'd be nice to have a facility like that was your own, not an alien place that you sort of went to. I think the more you're there, you kind of sort of settle into it. But the initial thing is quite intimidating and scary, and I feel very self-conscious in studios where you're not used to, and you're going in there to be creative. It's not a place for me. I have much prefer to be in your own space. It's really important, I think. But if you don't do that, and you're just there to capture what it is you do as a singer or as a whatever it is, as a band even, and you don't record yourselves and you don't do anything, then yeah, they're very very relevant and useful, I'm sure.
I think yeah, that was a really good answer. Yeah,
Hmm.
thank you for that. I'm
Yeah,
a big fan of Alan Moulder. You know, the work he did with Ride and
yeah,
Swerve Driver,
yeah, because he
Silent
used to.
Stream.
That's what he said. That's what his thing is. I mean, he's his thing was at Trident for years. In like late '70s, early '80s, and that's where he kind of got schooled. And
Yeah,
but his thing was always to be a mixer. And so but he's got grown up with in those environments, whereas I was like growing up in my own little 4 track that I had.
mm.
And then go to an 8 track, and then go to a little 16 track, and up from there. But
Start building up. Mm.
yeah, but it was always very very sort of in your own space.
Mm.
And his thing is very much, or the engineers generally, it's very much in the studio. They know their studios really well. They know um they know how they work and everything. I have no idea how they work.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's interesting though your history. Yeah, I mean, I would have thought that back in the '80s and '90s that you would have been using the studios quite heavily. So it's
we
interesting
were
that even
we
back.
were we Yeah, we were using the studios, but there was always somebody taking care of the actual
Mm.
the capturing of everything.
Mm.
We were there as producers, like doing things. And even with Alan, he would sort of be there running the desk.
Yeah.
But that's I mean, it's a whole sort of world unto its own. I know, I know my way around it, but it's not the thing I was interested in particularly in studios. It's going back to your first question about are they still relevant? But I think they very much are. But you got to it's only for certain people. He's
Yeah.
got Flood was always good for that though. He had some interesting floppy disk sounds
Yeah, I was
because
gonna say, yeah, Floods worked on Violator, didn't they?
he did, yeah. And he and with Alan Moulder, which I got to know quite well, Al. But Flood's got he was an analog synth kind of total geek really, and he had all these like weird arps and strange things. And I used to go and we used to make these odd sort of affixy kind of sounds, these drum things or these booms or these weird fucking whatever really. I've got dats of fucking about in the studio with him. and then taking them and then making them into something, you know. But yeah, it's very creative. You have to be, don't you?
Certainly do. Yeah.
You record it, but now that you can record something so brilliant, you know, and if you know what you know basic things about it, and you've got some talent, you can make some brilliant stuff. And you've got facility to just put it out there, you know, just you know, the moment you've done it.
Yeah.
And so I
Using
think it's good, man. It's just changed. It's a different thing now. Good.
I like one final question I would say is about Alan Moulder and Floods.
Yeah.
Can you tell me any of their techniques and procedures?
They very much like follow what's in front of them, you know what I mean? And they've always been sort of, you know, that they're guided by what's given to them. So with Alan's thing, you know, he's like he's very amiable, good person to have in the studio, because he's very calm, very level, and he knows what's going on with the desk. He's really good with the desk thing, and he's got really good ears. And he's very amiable, and he just wants to, you know, make everybody feel like they can do or suggest or be who they want to be. And he's very driven by what the band's given to him. And you know, he's creative, but in his own way, it's all about sort of capturing it all and making sure that he gets the best out of what's given to him. That's Alan's vibe, and it's very similar for Flood, except Flood's a little bit more psychological. You know, we used to talk quite a lot and then go for things. Do you know what I mean? We'd talk about things, or doesn't matter what you're talking about particularly, but you talk about things, and I don't know. You feel. I think again, it was to do with making you feel at home, you know, and to get the best out of you, really. You know, to make you feel at home, yeah, to make you feel,
yeah,
you know, good, really, and you know, to get the best of what you can do. But they're very much driven by, you know, the artists that they work with, so they wouldn't work with people that they didn't like, or they weren't getting the thing that they needed from it. You know, it was basically enhancing what the band's vision was. So they were very good for that, both of them.
excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what you could do as a producer. I think that's the best thing you can do. You know, if you've got something and you really like it, it's got to be driven by that, and then you capture it, or you mix it, or you balance it in a way.
Yeah, you try and enhance it.
Yeah, you just got to get the best out of what it is they're giving you. I think you've got to love what they're giving you as well.
Yeah,
you know,
you want to retain the artist's vision. So yeah,
exactly.
it has to be quite
very
balanced.
much so. Very much so, and you can put your own things in there. You can do the things, or the way you do things, and your ears to the balance, and everything. That's very particular. You know, yeah, it's a very fine balance, isn't it? The whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And if the band isn't there, or if the band, you know, you're working with them, and you get something really good one day, and then they're just shit the next day. It's not really a problem, you know. It's all part of the overall scheme.
Yeah,
I think that's the best way to be. You have to kind of just sort of be amiable and you know, there for the artist.
Yeah, it's big.
And when you're saying
chemistry needed, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then it all comes together. You know, in the same way that Butch was with Nirvana. You know, he encouraged them, but then he threw in, like, no, why don't you track the guitars? Why don't you track your voice? Why don't you know? Because that's something they never did. And you know, you just got to get the best out of them. As Albini let the band just sort of be the band. I think he was more into a mic. His creative thing was the way it was mic'd, and the amps and the things that was all used, you know. But he was very much reliant on the band to be. But his thing was to capture the sound in the best way that he thought he could do it, and by using particular mics, rooms, and you know, all the rest of it. And Butch was more creative. So it's kind of like, you know, like that really.